Good evening, everyone. We'd like to thank everyone to our fourth of six virtual community meetings. I'm Lieutenant Shane Foley with the IMPD Public Affairs Office. Tonight we're on Southwest District with Commander Susan Hill. What'll happen tonight is Commander Hill will give you a little bit of presentation, then we want to have an opportunity for you to ask some questions that we'll ask the commander and then have her answer those for you. This is an opportunity for the residents, business owners, those who frequent Southwest District to have some direct interaction with the commander who is responsible for the police response on their district. If you do have questions, you can go ahead and put those in the chat there on the WebEx system, or you can put them into Facebook Messenger and we will look at those messages as well. We'll remind you about that in a little bit, and we encourage you to go ahead and put those questions in now so that way we have them when the time comes for the question and answer session. So thank you again for everybody for being here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Commander Hill. Commander?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Very good to see a lot of our community folks on board tonight. Good to see some familiar faces. I first want to thank everyone for participating tonight. I'll tell you, this pandemic, as you all know, has been very challenging this year. So we truly miss seeing our partners, and we are thankful that a vaccine is getting rolled out, and we look forward to getting back full on in person, and hopefully at some point soon without mask on. So before I go on, I also do want to thank all our business owners and our residents, our neighborhood groups, our crime watch groups, Gleaners, I see you're on here as well. All of our support that we have gotten throughout the year, our officers, they feel it and they know it. And we thank you. In addition to the pandemic, right, we had unprecedented riots in our city that we had never seen. We had the potential for more civil unrest for the election, as well as when they made an announcement about an officer-involved shooting non-charging decision. But I'll tell you, our officers definitely feel the community and business support, and we would like to thank you for that. In addition to thanking you all too, I don't know if there's anyone from our school districts on board tonight, but we do want to reach out and thank Dr. Persecki, Dr. Butts from both Wayne and Decatur Township, along with Dr. Mapes from Perry Township, and IPS Dr. Johnson. Specifically, we work very closely with School 63 and George Washington High School. So we want to thank all our educators for the hard work that they've done and the important work they've done, especially getting our kids back to school. So that has definitely been a challenge for them, and we appreciate all their efforts, and they're a big part of the Southwest community. We don't necessarily have too many destination locations yet, as other districts have. We don't have a Broad Ripple or a Fountain Square, but we do have great living communities, and we have great school systems. And we have great school systems that provide job training and job opportunities. And so for that, we're very grateful. So again, to all our educators, we support you. That being said, you know, there's a lot of talk about the murder rate, and that's frustrating, and the violence. Although Indianapolis is much like other major cities around the country, we did have an increase in murders. However, overall violent crime and overall crime has tended to trend down. And that, so we're focusing on, we've been focusing, right, on identifying those responsible for the violence and going after them. We hope in the near future, and I'll touch on that later, to do even more of that kind of work. But as far as Southwest goes, I do want you to acknowledge that we do understand your quality of life issues, and we are going to continue to work on those as well. For example, this time of year, when it gets really cold out, we have a significant increase in vehicle thefts. And we have started a campaign. We started it end of November, December, where we get flyers out to gas stations, to business owners, to really encourage and remind people to turn off their cars before they go in a business. We've done a public service announcement on that, but enough can't be said about that. And it's a crime of opportunity, but it's also one that we end up a lot of times having a lot of violence associated with these stolen cars. A lot of times they're used in robberies. Most recently, the person that shot at our officer Burns just a little over 2 weeks ago, it was from, it all started from a stolen vehicle. So our officers are always looking for these stolen vehicles, but they also are associated with because they also are associated with a lot of crime as well. So the more our community can help get that message out, our business owners and you too as community members, really the Crime Watch people, as you message stuff out to your groups, really reinforce that. The other area that Southwest is kind of creeps up in property crime is the larcenies from vehicles. So again, we have so many good residential areas and people will come in and just hit a neighborhood. So we try to message out to the neighborhood right away as soon as we see that that's happened. We try to prevent that. But really taking in your valuables and locking your vehicles is also key to helping prevent that as well. So real quick, I'm going to let you look at a couple slides here on as far as the crime goes. I'll go back. So you can see, so overall here we've got violent crime down and then and property crime. So for 2020, you can see, although we're down in larcenies, there's a couple areas that I did want to talk about. I talked about the vehicle theft, but we also had an increase in arson. And that was primarily in a couple areas around in Southwest. And Southwest had a disproportionate number of arsons at the end of 2020. We have made several arrests, so we're hoping that that takes care of that. But those were in the area around Belmont and Washington. And then we had some other random business arsons as well. Some we were able to identify with some homeless people. Some it was two different groups of teenagers. So, so we're hoping to get that under control for 2021. The non-fatal shootings. So as we mentioned, non-fatal shootings are an indicator that violence is occurring, and we don't want those non-fatal shooting victims to turn into homicide victims. We are targeted in identifying the people involved in these. So every district has what's called a flex unit. And traditionally, our flex unit liaisoned really well and worked really closely with the homicide detectives, the robbery detectives, the aggravated assault detectives. And they work with our other officers and detectives to identify and help build cases and help pick up the suspects. So one thing we're looking at doing in just a few months in 2021, currently Flex is a day focused, like a 11 to 7 type shift. And it's worked relatively well. But one thing we've noticed is that violent crime mostly occurs between 7 p.m. and 0300 hours. And these officers are so skilled at using all different kinds of resources to identify and follow people and identify them. So we are going to try, and we're hoping with success, of course, but a targeted emphasis on those hours. So that instead of working those 11 to 7 hours, we will have a squad working that specifically that 7 p.m. to 0300 to try to make a dent in some of those shootings and violent crime overall. The other thing too is I'm going to go ahead and talk about this. We still do use the Crime Stoppers, and it's very important for us on Southwest. We log these in and we assign them. So sometimes the complaint isn't going straight to the narcotics, but is going to the district officer. Sometimes it goes to a community relations group. Sometimes it goes to the flex. So we are reviewing all of these and we put feedback in them because sometimes one unit is better equipped to deal with the type of complaint that we have. I will also say the more information you can provide, the better. So we do appreciate your efforts on that. So through the pandemic, when we couldn't get out and meet with you all as much, and we had to stop being as productive or proactive as we wanted to be initially during major outbreaks, we really took a look at how we communicate within our organization to help us work smarter, not harder. And so I want to talk briefly about that. So I see Chief Barker is on this call, and I think he might have been one of the main people behind this, but we have a daily crime report phone call that we discuss between the districts, right? What's occurring and stuff that would impact another district. And it's predominantly focused on violent crime or any other trends that other districts might have. So for Southwest, in other districts, we were finding that our businesses and our residents were repeated victims of catalytic converter thefts. Then we start noticing that they have a lot of drugs. When we're able to catch them, they often have drugs, guns, and scanners in their car. And then we were able to use the same concept of this daily crime report and reach out to the other districts as well. And we're really doing a better job as an agency of sharing information. Indianapolis is a great city, but it's easy to get from the north side to the south side, to the east, to the west, relatively quickly. So we don't tend to have some of those really small clusters always, like some of the Chicagos or New Yorks might have, but we seem to have the same problems, and our thieves go all over. So that's been a big help. One thing we've done is we have special investigations officer who helps follow up with all this and ties this all together. So we are collaborating and working on, and we do listen to the feedback that we've gotten and are aware of how costly that is to our businesses that have had several cut off at one time, as well as our regular residents that go out to their car in the morning to go to work and find that their catalytic converter has been cut. So we are making headways with that, and I hope to update you further on that. But we have made some good inroads on that. Another thing that we started doing was our detective lieutenant and our special investigations officer, they hold monthly meetings on all our repeated runs reports. And we're hoping to get this more real time, but we've been able to reduce by 60 to 80% our top 10 most voluminous run locations. And so we're taking a look at what's the reason for the call. Is it a situation where the behavioral health unit needs to get involved? Is it a narcotics problem? Is it a juvenile problem? What is going on at this house that is causing all these runs? We use the same process for our businesses. Generally speaking, our business that we have a lot of the problems are our motels, a lot of them out by the airport that have a lot of narcotics dealing and problems going on. So we are also trying to address the underlying problems on these repeat runs. A lot of those problems at the motels, we are aware, bleed over into the neighborhood, and that's what we're trying to assist with on those. But again, very appreciative of our Flex team who does all kinds of special projects. And I look forward to them continuing that. So real quick, Southwest is, we cover 81 square miles. And we're just around about 140,000 people. And that's with 166 sworn officers serving that. One of the problems that we have policing this district are the limited roads that go east and west and north and south, and the amount of traffic that has increased out to our neighbors out there in Hendricks County. So sometimes we do have a bit of traffic, more so than you would have imagined 10 years ago. Another thing that takes a lot of our time that we're seeing an increase in is pedestrian struck. This is a major, major concern. We have lots of fatalities for pedestrian and serious bodily injuries. So we're also focused on that and try to work with our community groups, Indie Gateway, and our city county councilors to try to impact that. I guess I'm just asking, we are cognizant of it. I don't have a solution necessarily for everything, but those are some of the things that are on our radar in addition to our work with reducing violent crime. With that, here are our contact information. Let's see, what's wrong one? So currently, I am off formally. I just had knee replacement, 4 weeks out of knee replacement. Captain Tom Koppel, I do want to publicly thank him for his efforts and keeping the district going the whole time I've been off, so I greatly appreciate that. Captain Trout is our captain at night, and Lieutenant Tuttle runs our neighborhood resource unit, which is also that Flex team, narcotics team, and he is also responsible for our very famous Paula Dot Barnes and all the community work. So appreciate all his work. New to Southwest is in this role is Lieutenant Billy Carruthers for district investigations, and I gotta say he is very responsive and has done a great job. Really what we're trying to do, again, communication is our key. We're trying to break down the silos that exist in our organization, not just between districts, but within our district, between our detective units, between our investigative units. And what we're really trying to do is get the patrol officers as involved in problem solving and in addition to knowing their community, but a lot of them have great ideas on how to fix the problem. But so much time was being just responding to runs. So hopefully in 2021 with some additional changes, we hope to see them more active with community groups on these types of calls. We expect them, like recently in the fall, we fed the George Washington High School football team. Originally, you know, that's a community relations job, but what we did was we ensured that we were having patrol officers, regular patrol officers, showing up and helping to pass out the meals. That paid off great for them too, because Officer Purvine has a friend that's a Colt, and then later was able to donate cleats to the program. So I do find our officers enjoy the community aspect. It's just enabling them and getting them involved. So that's a priority for us. So I saw Diane Vandersell's on this call. We take, I think, Diane, you can correct me if I'm wrong, anywhere from 60 to 80,000 911 calls. I forget how that works. I look at those every month and I'm amazed at the amount of calls we take. And really, we get few complaints. I'm sure we can do a better job, but it's pretty impressive the amount of calls our officers currently have been taking, calls for service. So hopefully, hopefully we can find ways for the non-emergency calls, just insurance reports or stuff like that, to get more automated and free up our officers in the future to do more proactive type patrols. So I think that's everything. Shane, can we go ahead, or Lieutenant, can we go ahead and open this up for questions?
So again, questions, go ahead and enter those into the chat box, or enter them on Facebook. Got a question here about I'm not familiar with this, but hopefully you are. Circle City House. It's a house that's being built at 1318 South Lyndhurst. Question was, is there going to be 24/7 police coverage at that location? If or even familiar with what that is.
I am not familiar with that. Captain, can you hear me? Am I? Okay. So I'm sorry, that's a Circle City? Is that what that's called?
Circle City House.
So is that, are you referring to a halfway house, or, okay, or like a group home type thing? So that, as far as police, okay, oh yeah, I do know that. So as far as our presence there, I'm not aware that we, the police department, are providing any sort of security service there at all. And I think that's sponsored by a different group. So I'm not sure if that's better answered by the sponsor. We will be, my community relations unit is already aware of it. I'm sure we will try to assist by service, to assist with services. We have had several complaints recently about homeless in neighborhoods. So I don't know of any other district that has this yet. So I don't know how to, I'm hoping it's a success. I'm hoping it's a good solution, but I really can't speak to that at this time.
Next question was, are pedestrian deaths strongly associated with streets that have no sidewalks?
Well, I would think so. In addition to that, a lot of our pedestrian deaths have been, like, for example, off of Washington Street. It's a high, multiple lanes as well, and limited pedestrian lighting. So it's a combination of things down there. I think it's speed, I think it's no sidewalks, and I think it's multiple lanes. And I think also some of it is dangerous behavior. We see dark people in clothing jetting across the street and not using the traffic signals, but we do need more pedestrian designated areas. Some of these are just, we have narrow roads. We have a lot of people walking along the side of the roads. The connectivity is something that I know certain groups are taking a look at now to try to ensure that we can provide sidewalks, especially as we work with the new trails coming in from, I think Baldet. What's that called? B&O. And the Speedway Trail. So they are looking to increase productivity or connectivity, but that is one of our major concerns.
And along those topic, ma'am, you have any suggestions for pedestrians or bike riders on things that they can do to make themselves more visible,
Yeah.
particularly at night?
Yeah, especially at night, we need reflective clothing, light clothing, the flashy lights that are on the bicycles. They also sell those as wristbands now. Those are very helpful. And safe behavior on the biker's part and the walker's part. You know, a car might hit you and they might be wrong, but you're still going to be seriously injured. So being aware of your surroundings and doing what you can to protect yourself and being cognizant of the traffic.
Again, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box or put them on Facebook. Ma'am, how has COVID impacted your officers and how are they overcoming that?
Well, so far, I think our officers have done a great job, and I have been impressed at what a great job they have done adapting to wearing masks. I think at first they didn't, they were a little reluctant, but they've done a great job with the mask. We have not had our officers infected per se due to exposures on the job as much as we have from exposures from other family members. So, and I think that's what's being determined all over the city too, is kind of the exposures are occurring mostly from their own family members. But I think they're aware of their surroundings and aware of going in closed spaces. Just some of the problems that I see are logistics too. One thing with this cold weather, we've always been used to putting people in our car and driving them places, and we've had some limitations on allowing people in cars, but I think now that the vaccine's getting rolled out, we're going to have better luck with assisting citizens when they need it. Real quick, just because I saw, if you don't mind me, I think Lena Hackett was on. I don't know if Lena's still on, but Lena was instrumental in the Rubin Center, which now I believe is called the AIC. I might have my acronym wrong. This is a facility that we can divert people to. We did a test pilot of it on Southwest, but unfortunately it was during COVID, and so sometimes it was set up, sometimes it wasn't, and I don't think officers were able to refer to the extent that we initially thought we could. So we're hoping, again, that the vaccines and the outbreaks diminish so we can assist with that initiative as well.
Now, I understand that your Flex team has had some successes, some nice stories. Do you have any specific stories that you could share with everybody? Kind of talk about some of the productivity that they've been able to do and taking guns off the street and such.
They do so much. Let's see, I got about a 5-page paper worth of stuff they do. I think specifically, without getting into names and particulars, one of the things that Flex does is at the end of 2019 and early 2020, we had a dispute between two different families in Hallville over some narcotics, and we had multiple shootings and deaths associated with that. Our Flex team was able to identify all the key players involved quickly, prevent, I believe, truly 100% believe they prevented at least 2 or 3 additional homicides by locking up a few people pretty quickly or getting that information to the homicide detective. Right now, just that unit, it's a 5-person unit. They were responsible for 189 felony arrests and 56 guns. So it's a small unit, and 56 guns with between 5 people with good stops, good arrest, is remarkable. And they also are the ones that respond to so many problem areas. For example, we were responding to, I think a little girl was kidnapped or inadvertently in the vehicle when it was carjacked from a different county. It ended up down around 5000 West Raymond in that area. And our flex team responded, was able to stop, found the car, all that kind of stuff. But they also, from that investigation, right, they also knew who the drug people were in the neighborhood. Well, the neighbors were out. During this investigation, they also located a chop house, stolen cars, and stolen guns. So they are just very skilled at taking a basic investigation and really looking at the whole aspect of it. And again, they do so much work. Again, I don't have names and places, but they, the homicide detectives frequently call me to thank them for their work and the quick response that they have. And oftentimes the way they've stopped people before, I have it all wrapped up before the detective gets here.
Mm-hmm. Facebook.
Pardon me?
And I believe a lot of those stories are actually on Facebook of some of their successes, aren't
Yes,
they?
yes.
Not
Because
all of them.
they also get a lot of drug bust as well as, and they're like street narcotic arrests. So there's a difference between just a full-on narcotics investigation where they have to follow other protocols and a uniform street response where they can make stops and develop reasonable suspicion, probable cause, and search and seizure type arrest.
Question somebody asked is how can somebody go about getting people to come to their Crime Watch meetings, at least maybe after COVID is over?
So Paula Barnes at nd.gov is our Crime Watch coordinator, and she will work with getting either a person from a patrol officer or district officer or community relations. And there's a whole process that we go through on that, and it's the education process, and then it's a national program that we follow, and she is your contact for, as we say, all things Crime Watch.
So last call for any questions. If you do have any other questions, go ahead and enter them into the chat box. At this point, we've answered all the questions that have been entered, but we want to give people just a few seconds to type in any additional questions if they have. Commander, anything else you'd like to add, and maybe anything about relationship your officers have with community members and their interactions?
Yeah, so this year more than ever, I think we've seen more and more officers seeing the need that people have on their district. Officer Corey Drum and Officer Lauren Carmack, and Officer Ty Lambert, they do an awesome job at identifying people that on their district that are short for Christmas or need winter clothing. We just have a lot more officers involved in, I think Officer Turner ensured that people had Thanksgiving dinners. I just think that the whole COVID pandemic, although it's socially distanced us, but I think it's also opened some people's eyes and how much people are struggling. And I'm just so very proud of our officers that really make that extra effort to put people in contact with resources that can help them.
And Commander, this seems to be a common question that we get on different districts. Can we get an officer to go through our neighborhood at different times and patrol the neighborhoods? And one thing we've noticed on other districts and having those conversations is that oftentimes officers are in the neighborhoods and maybe people just don't see them at the times that they're there. But what can we do to get officers seen more?
So I'm curious. Sometimes I think I think the general patrolling is probably easiest at night because we don't have the traffic and there are some quieter periods. I think we do patrol as much as we can, or we try to, but that's not to say that that's up to what you would uh, that you could be aware of. For example, when we do know a neighborhood's getting hit, we do ensure that our late shift officers are patrolling that. However, that doesn't mean necessarily that you might see a day shift or a middle shift officer. The majority of our time is responding to radio runs and patrolling the district. So, you know, visibility is key. Beyond that, I don't know how to answer that other than I'm, you know, 80 square miles. At some point we're getting around, but maybe not every day to your neighborhood. But we can we can make a bigger effort. And again, please feel free to use this tips line if you have specific crime complaints, and keep in contact with Paula Barnes as well, because she forwards these specific complaints onto us as well. So, for example, when we meet to discuss the repeat runs locations, or when we are looking at the shots fired runs. Now, we do an analysis of all our shots fired runs. We've also were able to determine a handful were due to hunters, but then we really look at why is this location. So again, that's along the same lines of we're not everywhere all the time, but we can focus on an area at the times that we need to.
Looks like we don't have any other questions. I will do want to add that somebody said Paula Barnes is awesome. Thank you for all your efforts to keep us safe. We certainly do appreciate positive feedback like that. And, you know, one of the things Commander was talking about was some of the work people do in the community. I remember reading about one of the younger officers on your district who was collecting bikes and giving out bikes for some youth, and those are the stories that we don't hear about often enough, but those are things that are happening on a regular basis. And so we appreciate the work that you and your officers are doing on Southwest District, and things to keep the community safe and engage with them, man.
Well, thank you very much. And it's great seeing your faces and your names. We look forward to seeing you again soon in person. I did want to do one quick mention. Our CRDC is, we are reorganizing. Kelly Ivy from Decatur Township Drug-Free Coalition has agreed to chair that. One thing during the pandemic that I didn't get to talk about was our concern. I don't have hard data on this right now, but we have seen a significant increase in drug overdoses and suicides. Those are two things that I don't have the statistics on them yet, but anecdotally, I feel like, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from our officers, we feel like we are doing a lot of responding to this. Kelly brings a lot of, she's been in Decatur Township for a while. We plan to work closely with Wayne Township as well as IPS and business community to try to impact the quality of life for folks down in Southwest District.
We just got a message from Diana Van Arsdale, Marion County Sheriff's Office, who said that, for example, as the commander was saying, there's a lot of runs that your officers are responding to. And in January, there were 56,429 dispatched runs. And then Beverly said, thank you, Commander, from the officers riding bikes to the neighborhoods this past summer and fall.
Thank you, Beverly. And our officers do like bikes, by the way, and we got a whole bunch of new bikes. So they are ready for that weather to break. Thank you also to Hawthorne and Hallville and all the We Care, Stringtown and the whole near west. They helped us fund that. as well as we got some additional new bikes from our department. So I got a lot of bike riders.
So we'd like to thank Commander Hill and everyone from Southwest District for joining us tonight. Again, this is the fourth of six district community meetings, but we're going to be having some other engagement meetings online that we'll send out on Facebook and social media and through other methods. So look forward to seeing those. Thank you for everyone for joining us, and we hope you have an excellent evening.